So as you can see, it's finally October, the perfect month for AU, horror videos, and candy of course. So I thought about doing a series dedicated all to this month called Fear Files. Now it ain't no spooky scary Sundays, we'll leave that up to Corey, but basically I'll be covering 2 or more videos a week covering scary topics. Now today, to start off the Fear Files, we're going to be covering a Sonic the Hedgehog AU inspired by the pony virus, where an infection begins to spread across the land of the animals. And I'll cover that story soon, but this one takes place just after the events of Sonic Prime, where Sonic just got done fixing a big mistake he made, which almost doomed many other universes. But just like in the video games, almost every time Sonic's done confronting a world-ending threat, another one seems to almost instantly pop up, giving Sonic and his friends a test of strength, speed, and most importantly, their brain. So the story starts off with an unknown infected animal from Mobius, who seems to be basically classified as a zombie as their mental state is not available. And from first glance, it seems like they're a walking, decomposing body with their skin melting off their bones. They have no hand, and they're missing a whole eyeball. Their jaw is sagging, and as you can see, their hunger and thirst is at 100%. And sadly, before this creature was eliminated by Amy Rose, it did end up injuring her. And if we take a look at her files, she even says, "Why was their blood black?" And at the moment, her health is doing fine at 64%, along with her sanity at 70, but she's starting to get very hungry and thirsty, and it's even said that she's scared and feeling guilty. Now, Amy Rose is the type of character in Sonic that wouldn't hurt a fly. She hurts people that would hurt a fly. Even though Amy might not like the things you do, she still will show empathy even when you're at your lowest moments. So now after getting injured, she's asking herself if Big the Cat is okay. Because it turns out he once again lost his best friend Froggy, and this time he asked Amy to come in the forest to help find him. And the reason why I say once again is because if you know Big the Cat, you know that he not only lives in the forest, but he's always losing Froggy. That's why in most games you spot him randomly in every level, and you're probably wondering, why is this cat always in every level? Well, it's because he's looking for Froggy, which is why currently his body is missing in this AU. Nobody knows where he is, but the last time a virus broke out and he was looking for Froggy, it didn't end up so well for him. Now, meanwhile, back at Tails' house, him and Sonic seem to be working on something, and that's when they hear the doors slowly creak open, which catches their attention. And it's Amy who says, "We have such a big problem." Now it turns out she is in fact infected and in her stage 1 of it, and went to Tails' house to Sonic and Tails to kind of warn them on what's going on here so they can fix it. They also treated her wounds, and it is revealed that she was in fact bitten, and before she was escorted home by Sonic, Tails took a blood sample from her. After seeing that she's been coughing very viciously and saying, "I need to eat something, I don't have an appetite." What a terrible headache. Next it says Tails' mental state is mentally healthy, but it also says yet because he is very worried. And after seeing Amy, he's also saying, "I don't want to think about my future again." Now you're probably wondering, Ty, why is Tails saying that he doesn't want to think about his future? Now since this takes place after Sonic Prime, it makes me believe that Sonic told Tails about 9 and how the future could look if Eggman wins. And now that this news has been brought up, not only is he blaming Eggman for this breakout, but also he's scared and instantly has gotten to work to solving this issue. Sonic in his file seems to be in very good health at the moment and mentally doesn't want to go through another virus. Sonic has dealt with a plague called the Metal Virus, which was created by Eggman if you didn't know by now, and I'll be covering that story in a later video for those who have been begging me to cover it. But anyways, after taking Amy home, Sonic has said, "I hope Amy gets better. Her wounds. Antibiotics should help." Tails is smart. He'll figure something out. And it turns out Sonic is not only looking after Amy, but he real quick went to go see if the Chaotix have any information on what's going on. And fast forward at the Chaotix headquarters, Vector, the crocodile, and Charmy the bee are hiding from something. Something lurking around the corner. and it's one of their best friends, Espio, the chameleon. And right before the infected Espio could turn the corner, Sonic spin dashed right through his body so fast you couldn't even see him. Now, we don't know how he was infected, especially for someone like Espio who can go invisible, but it also tells us that he didn't take the bite really serious when he got bitten, and one day just randomly left his room infected, wanting blood, wanting to eat. Now, if you're someone who's thinking that Sonic is kind of brutal in this AU, just know during the Metal Virus arc, he was doing a lot of things that would have left a lot of Zombots dead if they didn't have the healing and regeneration they did. Luckily, Charmy and Vector were unharmed by the infected Espio, and it turns out Vector tried seeing what was wrong with Espio sooner, but Espio instead locked himself in a room denying any help. He's traumatized by Espio's death, and even has said that the Chaotix will never be the same. Charmy shouldn't know, and we need to warn Vanilla. Now, Charmy still seems to have a smile on his face, and he's saying, "I'm sure the real Espio is fine." It turns out Vector doesn't want to tell Charmy that Espio's dead. He's a little kid that will traumatize him. So instead he told him, "That was just a skinwalker that died, not Espio." Now, unfortunately, I do think that they're going to run into some problems in the future because he is now determined to find Espio. And since Charmy is such a stubborn kid, I'm scared that he might wander off on his own. For now, he's safe. Fast forward, the rest of the Chaotix go to Tails' house and they're talking, with Tails saying the virus clearly has an organic origin, and Eggman doesn't work with that. "I think we need to find the source of the infection first. Then we need to ask Amy where exactly she found the Suddenly, a helicopter arrived, with it saying they came down from it. It turns out to be Shadow and Rouge, who are asking and saying, "We need your help." It seems like they definitely encountered a lot of infected because you can see the black blood on their body. And hopefully this isn't what I think it is on Shadow's leg. Now, looking at Shadow's profile, it turns out Rouge and Shadow are working for the Guardian Units of Nations, also known as GUN, and were told to destroy all suspicious entities and not be touched or bitten by them. But what's crazy about this is that when they were being overwhelmed, they asked for backup from GUN, and they told them straight up, those creatures are only targeting Mobians, and we're not gonna lose any humans for no animals, and basically blocked them, leaving them with no help and feeling betrayed. Which is why Shadow right here calls them racist bastards, showing us not all humans in Sonic get along with the animals. The funny thing about this is that in the video games, the humans were very prevalent in the past games like in Sonic Unleashed and Sonic Adventure, but as of recently have been missing and almost replaced by animals in the Sonic universe. Which makes me believe that if they both coexist, they most likely don't get along in the video games as well, with some exceptions of course. Rouge seems to be very healthy and very sane, and is also saying things like, "I can't believe they left us. Do they want us to be exterminated?" And the reason why they pulled up to Tails' home is because they want to form a resistance with everyone, and the Sonic heroes have done this multiple times in dire situations in Sonic Heroes, Sonic Forces, and even in the comics, when Metal Sonic took over the Master Emerald and Angel Island. In the next part, Rouge the Bat flies over to Amy's house, and while opening the door, she says, "What is this stench?" And upon looking inside, she sees something she'll never forget. Amy's inside the kitchen, covered in blood, and what's splattered all over the ground is something you probably remember from a lot of the Sonic games. The cute little birds that show up all the time called Flickies. Well, Amy ate one, leaving a huge mess. That's when we get an update on what's going on with Amy at the moment. It seems like she's very hungry, so hungry for blood that she's even covered her mouth. Her veins are showing black, probably from the constant biting on her shoulder. Her skin is pale and her fur is dull. And it turns out that day that Sonic left her at home, she began to have a fever that night and also became very hungry for meat. And as soon as a flick landed at the window, she began to eat it alive. And when she came to her senses, it was already too late, it was gone, and she hated herself for that. She's currently in stage 2 of the infection and now is acting calm because she's already eaten. for now. Later, Rouge is talking to Tails and she says, while you were chilling here, the real zombie apocalypse began. And Tails says, we only found out about this yesterday. Now here's the crazy part. As Shadow's going up to the bed area, Sonic hops down, confronting him and staring at his leg. And then gets up pointing at him saying, is that a bite mark? Are you infected? And then Shadow just says, you mean that. Rouge bit me. Rouge wanted to pretend she was infected, to make a joke and bite me. I almost shot her in the head. Meanwhile, all the way in Green Hill at Floral Forest, it looks like Cream the Rabbit is preparing tea for her child friends named Cheese and Chocolate. And that's when Shadow walks into the room. So as Cream is spilling her tea, I can't help but wonder where Gemerald is, because usually no one's able to just walk right in. Gemerald is the protector of that home, and most importantly, Cream the Rabbit, so I wonder what he's up to at the moment. So anyways, Cream immediately greets Shadow by saying, oh, hello, Mr. Shadow, are you back for the tea party? And that's when Shadow immediately grabs her hand and says, Cream, you need to listen to me carefully now. And he basically says, Sonic and everyone needs you for this important adventure. Your mom already knows about it. Let's go. Don't forget to pack everything you need and some food. And she gets very excited. And as you can see from looking at her profile, she's very healthy and very mentally stable. It is revealed that her mom, Vanilla, is out shopping with Gemerald, which is pretty weird because he wouldn't leave Cream alone, but I'm pretty sure Shadow knows this, and that's why he takes her immediately without her mom's permission, and knows that her mom is pretty much safe with Gemerald, as Shadow did once before believe that a earlier version of Gemerald was his equal after fighting him a couple times. Now back at Tails' place, it seems like Amy's kinda quarantined off so that Tails can test on her and he can cure whatever is going on. And as he's apologizing to her and explaining on what he's doing, she doesn't seem happy. And rightfully so, she just brutally eaten an animal that she tries to protect on a daily basis alive. And she's probably really hungry as she starts going up the stages of the infection. Which is why Tails says, Amy, don't look at me like that. Meanwhile, Sonic is chilling, not in the best of moods, and not really being Sonic. Sonic is not the type of guy that just sits around. He's a guy that's always on the run, loves adventure. And then a door opens, and it's Cream and Shadow who arrived. And she comes in, and she's like, I'm so glad you invited me on your adventure. And she hugs Sonic, and he's like, adventure? What are you talking about, my little friend? And that's when he looks up at Shadow with a very annoyed look. He's also very worried, so then Shadow says, don't look at me like that. I couldn't tell an 8-year-old child that the world was once again mired in an even more terrible virus and that her mother might already be dead. Based off on how Eggman already have done something like this before, and it's backfired and stabbed him in the butt before, while also Tails is kind of questioning if it was really Eggman that started this, I'm guessing Gun are the main people behind this, simply because they sent Rouge and Shadow on a mission with no help and cut them off right after they asked. And Gun doesn't really have a good history on working with animals. Now, if you made it this far in the video, that means a lot. Don't forget to subscribe to not miss out on the next episode of Fear Files. God bless all of you people. Peace.